Hello, next new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the best teams with a buff Pokemon for the Open Great League. This is going to be already the second part of this type of video. There's already a first part on it, and today we're gonna take a look at the Pokemon that I maybe missed that you pointed out in the comment section. So thanks so much for this one. We already, of course, have the first part, which is going to be linked in the end card. But not only this, we also have already a video for the top teams for the Lily Cup variant of the Gala Cup, which is a completely new cup. So definitely check that one out as well. Going to be both linked in the end card. But anyway, we're gonna just start into the video now, but also feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It is free, would really appreciate it, helps me out quite a bit with my work. And let's move on for the first one here. Team number 1 is going to be around the Shadow Donphan. This Pokemon is going to be one of the Pokemon that I missed the last time around. A very cool Pokemon, definitely, especially in the 2-shield scenario. And this is kind of what we try to use here as well for this team. We're going to have this Pokemon in the lead, which is going to allow you to always go up into the 2-shield scenario, where you can take advantage of that Trailblaze boost, which is going to be deadly with Shadow bonus on top of Stab, on top of the Mud Stab buff. That's going to be an insane combination. I feel like basically everything here that's not a flying type Pokemon is going to go down in the 2-shield scenario against the Shadow Donphan. That's going to be a wild thing to do. And so, for sure, a Pokemon that you really would like to have, especially in the lead. Safe up going to be the Ursaring, for a good reason, because Ursaring might be able to bait out potential Steel type Pokemon while still punishing them with the close combat. And Steel type Pokemon you don't want to face with a Clefable. Clefable is going to be a closer here to basically also beat those flying type Pokemon like the Mandibuzz, and that is going to be a perfect team here, kinda. Really enjoy this one, definitely think it's going to be a great one. Jumpluff beats all of them apparently, but definitely the matchup against Ursaring and Clefable is very, very close and can be won in certain matchups, so don't worry too much about that. Team number 2 here, we're going to have the Marowak, which I missed the last time around as well. They're going to be, generally speaking, a lot of Mud Slappers this time around, which I just didn't really give too much respect towards them. The only real Mud Slapper that I had here before was the Gastrodon, which is definitely going to be in some teams here today as well, because it's one of the best Pokemon for the upcoming meta. Taking a look now at the meta sheet, we're going to see that Clodsire is going to be one of those Pokemon that they can really punish with the Marowak. We're going to have the Safe Swap of Dugong, which might even be able to bait out the Clodsire while still doing super effective damage against it. And in the back, we're going to have the Toxapex. Toxapex's main purpose here is to beat something like the Feraligatr, just being a bulky wall there in the back. And honestly, I think this team is going to be lovely. You're going to have one good answer for flying type Pokemon as well with the Dugong, which your Marowak kind of struggles against. You're going to have 2 water type Pokemon that's going to be great against grass type Pokemon, which also your Marowak can struggle against. And so this team is a very, very balanced one, and I definitely think it's going to be a great team to use for the upcoming season, and definitely think that it's going to be a great team as just in general. Also, the thing is as well, for this team, Dugong Safe Swap going to be way safer this season, as Counter got nerfed, as well as Electric type Pokemon, thanks to all the ground type Pokemon that got buffed with Mud Slap, are going to have next to no play, and so Dugong is going to be one of the secret buffs for the season for sure. And so let's move on to the next one. We're going to have here Gastron, of course. Gastron is going to be a Pokemon that you definitely need for the next season. Like, if you want to build one Pokemon that you don't have yet, and it's going to be Gastron for sure if you don't have this Pokemon built yet, it is so worth it. Look at the meta sheet, basically anything that is not a flyer is going to die to it. Like, that is ridiculous. Like, you lose against Gastron apparently, which is always going to be a neutral matchup because it's just based on the CMP tie. But the other 2 matchups that you lose are Mandibuzz and Jumpluff, and that is it. That is ridiculous. Like, you win against every single Pokemon otherwise. And that is just kinda a thing that should mostly not be the case. And I think Gastron is single-handedly going to nerf, basically a Mud Slap for the next season. I would imagine they're gonna drop the attack buff on it, or I would actually drop the energy buff more than the attack buff on it, to be fair, but getting a double buff this season is going to be wild, because Mud Slap going to be definitely the main kind of thing there. Grass type Pokemon going to be the biggest weakness of Gastron. We have 2 great answers here, and of course the team is built around Drifblim, which people point out as well that I forgot about. If you have a Shadow variant of a Drifblim is going to be a little bit better. My mistake here to not include it, but yeah, Shadow variant going to be better, but in total, like, this team is going to be amazing. Like, look at the spreadsheet, like, there's next to nothing that can really beat it. Next team here, we're going to have a team here with one Pokemon, definitely a little bit of a problematic one, but we're going to have Dusknoir. People asked for a Dusknoir team. I'm not too sure if Dusknoir and the other one as well, but here it is anyway. We're going to have Licky core together with Dusknoir. We already talked about this, I think, in the top core teams as well. What you can use in the back as well instead of that Dunsparce would be also something like the Clefable. Clefable would make a lot of sense to counter something like that Pangoro, which might be a little bit of a trickier one. But anyway, this team is going to be kind of decent, especially as you're going to have 2 answers to a Ghost-type Pokemon in the back, which is kind of important as you're also weak to Ghost-types in the lead, or like Ghost-type damage, like Feraligatr, Shadow Claw. And so this team, for sure, going to be a very solid one. Licky going to be in a lot of teams today here as well, because a lot of people asked for some more teams with it. Licky, the better Lickitung for the next season. And honestly, I do like this a lot. I do like that Lickitung is kind of a little bit gone. I like that everything kind of changed a bit. There's definitely some fine-tuning still needed for the meta, but I still like that it's going to be way different compared to last season. Next up, we're going to have more Mudslap users here. We're going to have either Donphan or the Marowak, both of which are going to be totally fine, depending on really what you want to have. But people asked me to make a team around Gallade in the comment section of the last video there as well. And so here you are. Here is your Gallade team. We're going to have a lead of Toxapex, which is going to be great against Fairy-type Pokemon, which Gallade cannot really deal with. We're going to have the Sazor of Gallade, which is going to be able to beat something like the Mud Boys with that Leaf Blade, which is going to be very important. Well, also, as you're going to see here, we're going to have matchups, for example, like Gastron, which you're going to be able to, of course, knock out, which is one of the Mud Boys, but also Bastion, which is a horrible matchup for the lead. We have 2 great answers in the back. Same goes for Registeel, and so this team has so much potential. You might think Quagsire going to be such a difficult Pokemon, or like here, I guess Gastron apparently as well, like maybe in like some scenarios or whatever, because like water types, I guess Gastron doesn't really run water type moves, but yeah, water type can be, like Mud Boys can be a little bit tricky for this team. But actually Quagsire, I think, kind of goes down to 2-shielded Donphan. You just basically, if you want to encounter something like a Quagsire in the lead or like a Swamp in the lead, you kind of want to swap out into your Gallade, most likely still, or actually you can swap out into your Donphan. Swap into your Donphan then instead, or your Marowak, just try to farm them down in 2-shield scenario. I think it's going to be your best bet, and keep your Gallade in the back. Both of them kind of options that you can go, either no-shield the Gallade or go directly into your worst answer there and just try to play it out. Team number 6 here, going to be Golurk. Golurk is going to be, again, the one that I missed the last time around. Again, you can use Licky here, but you're gonna have a little bit of a different Pokemon here with your Warrain. Warrain going to be interesting as well here, as Warrain is going to be a little bit of a buff Pokemon as well for the next season without getting a direct buff. Abomasnow, I feel like it's going to be one of the core meta Pokemon for the next season, mainly because of Gastrodon and Feraligatr. In my opinion, Non-Shadow with the Weather Ball Ice is the best variant of Abomasnow right now, but it's up to you, to be fair. And you might think, oh, team is gonna lose immediately against Pangoro. That's a lie. The thing is, for this team, completely destroy Pangoro in the 2-shielded scenario with Golurk. Like literally, Pangoro just gets farmed down. And that is the big issue with Pangoro. And if you're gonna take a look at the team here, you have so many fast-paced moves, it's ridiculous. And like, Pangoro cannot really come back from this. So if you're going to encounter Pangoro in the lead, oh no, you're gonna go into 2-shield scenario, get shields from the opponent, like slap them down, win the matchup with like nearly full health. Great job there. If you're gonna have to swap out and the opponent swaps in their Pangoro afterwards, you're always going to be able to hit that Icicle Spear against them and either get the shield or the knockout, and then of course they kind of have to bait basically in order to have a option to align themselves, because otherwise Icicle Spear plus Powder Snow would be enough to knock them out as well. And so like basically there is it's looking kind of bad on PvPoker right now, because you're just going to take a look at the head-to-head matchups in the 0-to-1 shit scenario, but the matchup itself is actually not that bad. Team number 7, we're going to have here the Moltres in the lead. A Galarian form was what people are asking for as well, and we're going to have a team here that is just quite easily, one of the decent team that you can run around. We have the Clodsire as a Sazor, we're going to have the Gastron in the back. It's quite a simple team. It is quite a good team. I definitely think that this team gonna work quite a bit. Issues might be, I guess, Saloon Sandslash, depending. Like, they have to go for the fast move of Powder Snow in order to be really an issue. If they run the other fast move, it's going to be fine. But, yeah, otherwise, like, this team is going to be amazing, and I definitely think it's going to be a great team to use. Same goes for what's called Superior here. I guess anyway, also the Licky here, I guess it's also a buff Pokemon, but also Superior got a little bit of a buff for the next season, mainly because Skarmory is gone, but not only this, because this Pokemon is a great core breaker. If you haven't seen my core breaker video, this Pokemon was in there. Main reason you see it already, beating Pangoro, Gastron, and Core. This is going to be very important, as well as for Feraligatr, and so this Pokemon is going to have a lot of play for the upcoming season. For sure, would recommend you to build a Superior, haven't done that yet. Licky and Bastion. Going to be definitely, Pokemon in the back that you definitely want to have there as well with it. Bastion going to be able to cover those weakness against fire, for example, or flying. And so this is going to be kind of like Grassol, but in a little bit less toxic. Team number 9, we're going to have again here a Bastion team, which is kind of hilarious because a lot of people were like, oh, Spectrum got nerfed, this Pokemon is going to be no useless. No, it is not. But here, I'm going to rather take a look at the Auroras because we took a look at the Bastion already in the team before. And so you're going to have Chestnut lead, we're going to have the Ampharos Saysop, and we have the Auroras in the back, and I love this team idea. Ampharos, one of the Pokemon that got a double buff again as well, with Trailblaze being cheaper and Brutal Swing being cheaper, and also doing a little bit less damage, but we're not going to talk about that one. And this is going to make Ampharos, honestly, a very great Saysop. It doesn't look great on paper, don't get me wrong, I do understand this as well. But here you have to consider something. You're never going to have the head-to-head matchup here. You're always going to have some energy advantage because you swap into something. You swap into something that's usually something like a Mandibuzz, which you would want to swap out for sure, which is a 3-turn fast move. So you guarantee to get at least 2 or 3, actually 3-turn advantage compared to the opponent who wants to swap in afterwards. And that is plenty. And that is going to flip most of the matchups you can see here right now. And they still have to use shields. They have to respect also potential like Thunder Punch, for example. But also just being Trailblaze like that, having Trailblaze that cheap now, being so much easier available for it, going to make matchups like Gastron great, and also you just bait them out. And baiting out the Gastron is so important for the backline. If you take a look at this one, we have the Auroras, we're going to have the Bastion or whatever you want to run there. And honestly, I think it's going to be a great team to run. I would really recommend you to try it out. Sandslash, again, going to be a little bit of a trickier one. I think Sandslash is going to be quite common next season, which maybe makes Fire-type Pokemon a little bit better as well. But we might want to take a look at this one when the season is actually out. Final one for today, we're going to have the Lantern here in the lead. We're going to have the Saysop of Malamar, and people asked for an Ariados team as it's got a double buff as well with Poison Sting and Trailblaze. And so that is going to be definitely a decent team here for sure. We have Malamar as a Saysop. It could be that Malamar is not going to be great. Depends on if they're going to give a +2 energy, which we only gonna know when the change is actually out. Otherwise, the core of Ariados and Lantern is going to be nearly perfect, nearly flawless. And then you can use just like some kind of random Saysop. You can use whatever, like Sableye, for example, would work out quite well with this team as well, I would imagine. So like, there are different options as well to it. That's kind of what I want to say with that. Watergun Lantern, I think, is going to be a great Pokemon for the upcoming season. I do think, sadly, the season is going to go around Lantern again. Like, there hasn't been like a season where Lantern isn't top meta. And so I feel like Lantern is not really talked about right now, but I'm fairly certain it's going to get a huge increase in rating or like popularity down the line again. But yeah, again, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like and check out the 2 top team videos on the screen right now. And I'll see you then. Bye bye.